Alright, this is Nightly Review 24. It's the purple sheet. So the first one is find the area of the shaded region only, show all your work. So the shaded part on your Nightly Review is the rectangle part, and the triangle is left by itself. So what we need to do is find the area of the rectangle, find the area of the triangle, and then subtract the two, because that will give us the shaded part. So let's do the rectangle first. We find the area of a rectangle by doing length times width. Our length is 12, our width is 4. So 12 times 4. 12 times 4 is 48. So we get 48 centimeters squared for the rectangle. Next we need to find the triangle. We find the area of a triangle by doing half times base times height. Our base, not to get confused with here, is 9, and our height, since the triangle goes all the way up in the rectangle, our height would be 4. So area equals half times 9 times 4. Well, I know half of 4 is 2, and 2 times 9 is 18. Now I can subtract these two to find the shaded region. 48 minus 18. 8 minus 8 is 0. 4 minus 1 is 3. We get 30 centimeters squared as our shaded area. Press pause if you need the work. If not, I'm going to keep on going. Alright, next we're going to work on number 2. Number 2 says, Electric City is offering a 20% discount on all radios. Logan would like to buy a radio that was originally priced at $36.50. And so that's going to be 20% off. What is the total cost after the discount? Show your work. So when we learned percents, we learned to multiply our percent by this to figure out how much we're getting off. So there's two ways we can do this. The first way is to find out how much we're getting off and then subtract it from the original, or we think about how much of the percentage of it we're paying for and then we find it. Let's do it the first way. I'll do it both ways so you can learn. The first way, we would do $36.50 times our percent, but we need to turn our percent into a decimal. So if we're doing Dr. Pepper, we move the percent sign over 2, so our decimal goes before the 2. So 0.2. 2 times 0 is 0. 5 times 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 2 times 6 is 12 plus 1 is 13. Carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. We have to put our decimal 3 places. 1, 2, 3. So the discount is $7.30. So this is not our answer, this is just the discount. So if we take $36.50 and subtract it from $7.30, 0 minus 0 is 0. 5 minus 3 is 2. Bring down the decimal. Borrow. 16 minus 7 is 9. Bring down the 2. So this is how much Logan would be paying. $29.20. If we do it the other way I was talking about, we would multiply $36.50 by the percentage we're paying for it. So if it's 20% off, and the whole price is always 100, 100 minus 20 is 80, which means we're paying for 80% of the price. Make it a decimal. We'll multiply by 0.8. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 5 is 40. Carry the 4. 8 times 6 is 48 plus 4 is 52. Carry the 5. 8 times 3 is 24 plus 5 is 29. Move it 3 decimal places. We get the same answer. So if you do it with the percentage that they gave you, you just need to make sure you subtract it off the original at the end, or you can just multiply it by the percentage of what you're paying for it. So either way would work. Pause if you need the work. Okay. Number 3, I'm going to try my best with number 3 here because I can't draw the graph like you guys have. So sorry for it being blurry. We need you to list the order pairs and name the quadrant for each point listed. So they want us to find point A. If you look here, here's point A. So to find out what point A is, we find the X first and the Y second. So A has gone over 1, 2, 3 places, and it's on the positive side, so a positive 3 for the X, and it is down 1, 2 spaces. And since it's down 2 spaces, that means it's a negative 2. Y is over here, and if you go up and to the right, you see that we're at negative 2 for both of them. So negative 2, negative 2. Point P is up here. So if we count over, we see that we went over 1 to this direction, which makes it a negative 1. And then it's up 1, 2, 3. And since it's up, it's a positive 3. Finally, X is over here. We can see it's right by that 2, so we know our X value is 2. And it only goes up 1, so it's a positive 1. Alright, number 4. Now I'll go back to the paper. It costs $125 to rent a room at an evening center. The event center charges an additional $11 per person for food. Write an algebraic expression for the total cost of the event for n people. So we want to know what the total cost is. So that means our total cost is going to be on one side of our equal sign. And then we have to think of the things we're adding together to find our total cost. The first thing would be how much our room costs. Our room costs $125. Next, it costs $11 per meal. So then this is where we have to decide, where do we put our people? Are we multiplying how much it costs a night by our people, or how much meals we need by our people? How many meals? So this is where our variable would go, is by our people. So the total cost is equal to 125 plus 11n, because then we'd be able to plug in any number we want there. If we had 4 people staying there, we can multiply it by 4 to figure out the total cost. If we had 12 people staying there, we can multiply it by 12 and find our total cost. So this would be our algebraic expression. Number 5 asks to simplify the following expression. So we have 3 times g plus 12 plus g times 5. The first thing I'm going to do here is that when it comes with our numbers that are multiplied by g, that's not how we write them. We've learned that in 6th grade, when we have the g and if we have a letter and a number that we're multiplying, we smush them together. So let's do that. We'll have 3g plus 12 plus 5g. We smushed the letter and the number together. Now to simplify, we need to find the terms that are alike. So what's our terms that are alike? The ones that have a g next to it. So 5 and 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. So we'll have 8g plus 12 as our simplified expression. Number 6 asks us to use the distributive property to simplify. So, before we combine our terms that are alike like we just did in that last question, we need to use the distributive property. That's when we take this number here and we distribute it to everything that's inside the parentheses. And when we distribute, we use multiplication. So 4 times 3x. 4 times 3 is 12. Your x stays attached. Bring down the plus sign. 4 times 8 is 32, keep your y attached, and then bring down the plus 4x. Now we can find the terms that are alike so we can simplify this. The terms that are alike will be our x's. So 12 plus 4x. 12 plus 4 is 16x plus 32y is our simplified expression. Number 7 has 2 questions for us. The first thing, it wants us to solve this inequality, and then the second thing is that it wants us to graph it on a number line. So let's solve it first. Alright, so first things first, let's simplify. We can get rid of this right here. We can combine these. We have a minus 7 and a plus 3. So you have to think of the 7 as a negative because the minus sign goes with it. So we have a negative 7 and a positive 3. So think about it this way. If I owe somebody $7 and I pay them 3 more, how much do I owe now? Well, let's see. We're at negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, negative 4. Now I only owe them $4. The reason why the minus sign goes down is because 7 has a larger absolute value than 3. If you took away the negative and the plus, we know that 7's bigger than 3, so it has a larger absolute value. So that's why the negative sign comes down with the 4. Now we can go ahead and just do the opposite. The opposite of a minus 4 is plus 4. So we add 4 to each side. Our 4's cancel. Y is by itself. Bring down your sign. 14 plus 4 is 18. So we have y is less than 18. Now we can go ahead and graph this on a number line. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I put a number on either side just so we can see which ones get bigger and smaller. My circle is going to go on the 18. Since it has this line underneath, that means it's also equal to 18, so I color in my circle. And it's saying y is less than 18, so numbers that are less than 18 are this way on the number line. Alright, let's take a look at number 8. Alright, number 8. Henry can swim 3 laps in 7 minutes. At this rate, how long would it take him to swim 15 laps? I'm going to make a chart just because I like the tables. So we have laps and minutes. So the one they give us is 3 laps, 7 minutes. That's our unit rate. Now they told us 15 laps. They want us to know how many minutes. Well, in my graph or in my charts or tables, I look at what I did here, and whatever I do to this side, I have to do it to the other. To go from 3 to 15, I have to multiply by 5. So whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So 7 times 5. 7 times 5 is 35. So it'll take 35 minutes to swim 15 laps. Number 9. A diver dives 6 feet below the surface of water in a swimming pool. Letter A says write an integer to represent this equation, and B says what is the meaning? Well, A is write an integer, which is a fancy word for the number. Now we know it's 6 feet, but it's below 0. So if a number is below 0, that means it's a negative number. So this would be the integer to represent our situation. Letter B asks what is the meaning of 0? So if negative 6 is below the surface of the water, 0 would be the exact surface of the water. So when we have a negative number, that means that they are under the water. And if we have a positive number, that means they're above the water, so maybe on the deck that's right around the pool or something like that. So B, 0 is the surface of the water. That's right where you would kind of be floating if you went in. Lastly, number 10 says use the graph to complete a table of values for x and y, then write an equation to represent the relationship. So let's do the table first. So I'm going to go x and y because we're going to put our x's on one side and our y on the other. Again, mine's kind of blurry, so you're going to have to really pay attention to yours. But I'm going to start where x is 1. So I'm going to write 1 here. This is where 1 is, so let's go up and find where y is. Y is right in the middle of 16 and 14. Well, that's easy. Right in between 16 and 14, we have 15. Something I just realized is we should probably do 0 as well, because 0 meets on the y-axis. So if we go back to 0, which would just be our little starting point here, and go up, we see our line is at 16. Number 2, if we look here and go up, we see it's at 14. So I'm just going to write all my x values in right now. 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to let you guys do 9 and 10 by yourself because I'm out of room. I'm back at my sea level question. So 3 meets at in between 14 and 12, which is 13. I think you guys are seeing the pattern. It keeps going down 1. So I'm going to go ahead and just put it in. But if you were to check right here, you would see that 4 is at 12, 5 is at 11, 6 is at 10, 7 is at 9, 8 is at 8, 9 is at 7, and 10 is at 6. So you can just fill that in. The second part is to write an equation. So we need to know what y equals when something is done to x. So if we look at our chart, we see when x is 0, y is 16. So how did we go from 0 to 16? We added 16, or we did 16 minus 0. How do we go from 1 to 15? We have to add 14 to get to 15, right? Well, if I'm at 0 and I add 14, do I get to 14? No, I don't. Same here. If I'm at 2 and I add 14, I'm not going to get 14, which means we're subtracting here. Okay, so we're subtracting, we said. So think about it this way. When we're at 16, if we're at 16 and we take away 0, we're still at 16. If we're at 16 and we take away 1, we're at 15. If we're at 16 and we take away 2, we're at 14. If we're at 16 and we take away 3, we're at 13, and on and on and on, which means our equation would be y equals 16 minus x. Whatever we plug in with our x, we will get this y when we take it away from 16. Just in time. There's my 2-minute warning. Alright, that's it. That's our nightly review. That really took no time at all. If you have any questions, please stop by and ask one of us. Have a great day.